Today we are going to work on drawing three-dimensional objects. So when you're drawing things in 3D, the main things you need to remember are that we want to draw all of the edges. Any edge on the figure needs to be shown on the picture. Secondly, every side of the figure that should be parallel should show up in your diagram as being parallel as well. So look for those parallel lines. Now if you remember from art class lessons on perspective, yes, use that. Because we're using such a short object, it is fine to just treat these all as exactly parallel to each other. And then finally, anything that is behind that you have to look through the object to be able to see should be a dashed line or a dotted line. So when we're drawing a prism, which is going to be our focus in this video, however you look at this prism, first of all you've got parallel lines, so make sure that those are parallel to each other. But then the edges that are behind, those are going to be shown as dotted ones. So every one that I can see will be a solid line. So let's start by looking at a rectangular prism. So you'll need pencil and paper. Be prepared to erase. But there's a couple different ways that we can go about rectangular prism. One approach is to think of the base as being a parallelogram, and then draw an identical parallelogram directly above that. So you're trying to make all of these sides that are parallel still look like they're parallel. It's not perfect, but close to being parallel. Now, each of the corresponding corners needs to be connected with a line. So these ones that are in front are going to be solid lines. I didn't quite get those the same length. But then the ones that are in the back should be dashed lines or dotted lines. Now, as I was drawing my original base, these two sides here that are actually in back should be dashed lines. And so if you can remember to do that right from the beginning, if you can see which ones need to be dashed right at the beginning, make those dashed. If you need to go back and erase sections to make them dashed, that's fine too. So that's one approach for drawing a rectangular prism. The other approach is to draw two rectangles instead of parallelograms, rectangles, squares, but have them sort of offset from each other. And so in this case, I'm going to try to make them the same length, but then I'm going to have my dashed lines on those two sides. And so now each corresponding corner gets connected with a straight line. Now this one is a dashed line because we have to look through the figure to be able to see it. So these are the two most common ways of drawing a rectangular prism. You can do the same thing with triangular prisms. Think about, you can have your two triangles sort of one to the front, one to the back, or you can make one, let's see if I can get it, one towards the front and the other one straight up above it. So as we draw any other kind of prism, start with the bases and draw your bases. And so maybe that's just drawing your two triangles or pentagons or hexagons, and I can offset them or I can put them right on top of each other depending on which kind of prism I want to make. And so, File, draw that same, try to identical triangle. This one's going to be in the back, so I'm going to keep that as a dashed line and then connect the corresponding vertices. Hopefully all three of those lines will be parallel or very close to it.